Before you decide anything, before you form an opinion, before you tell yourself a story about who you are, your nervous system has already spoken. This is why the discomfort with crowds arrives instantly. It is not a thought, it is not a preference, it is a signal. Long before the ego explains, the body evaluates. Long before personality reacts, perception has already measured the cost. Carl Jung understood this well. He argued that the psyche does not begin with reason, but with instinct. The unconscious scans reality symbolically, not logically. When you step toward a crowded space and feel resistance, your psyche is not rejecting people. It is registering density, unpredictability, emotional noise, and symbolic chaos all at once. The ego comes later and tries to translate this into words like introversion, anxiety, or dislike. But those words are translations, not causes. Alan Watts took this even further. He reminded us that awareness exists before the idea of a self who is aware. The reaction happens before the identity that claims it. You are not choosing discomfort, you are noticing it. And noticing is not weakness. It is intelligence operating beneath language. The mind has already run the calculation. The ego is simply late to the meeting. The 8K mind in a 480p world. What overwhelms you in crowds is not the number of people. It is the volume of information. Most minds come equipped with a psychological compression system. They filter, blur, discard. Faces become background, sounds merge into noise. The brain lowers the resolution to stay functional. But some minds do the opposite. They sharpen. Psychologists describe this trait as sensory processing sensitivity, first formally identified by Elaine Aron and her colleagues. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that roughly 1 in 5 people process sensory and emotional input more deeply than average. Not more emotionally, more thoroughly. Every tone shift, every micro-expression, every spatial change is registered, stored, and cross-referenced. Where others skim reality, your mind reads the footnotes. In a crowded environment, this creates a cognitive flood. Your brain is not panicking. It is working overtime. It is running an 8K scan of a world designed for low-resolution attention. And depth comes with cost. Energy drains faster when perception is precise. Exhaustion follows not because something is wrong, but because something is active. You are not overstimulated because you are fragile. You are overstimulated because you are attentive in a culture that rewards distraction. Why crowds? You feel psychologically dishonest. Crowds are not just physical spaces, they are symbolic environments. When many people gather, something subtle happens. Authentic expression gives way to performance. The psyche shifts from being to appearing. This is where perceptive minds begin to tire. Carl Jung described the persona as the social mask we wear to function in the world. In crowds, that mask thickens. Voices rise, gestures exaggerate, emotions flatten into socially acceptable shapes. Laughter appears on cue. Interest is performed. Everyone knows the script, even if no one admits they are acting. Most people tolerate this without noticing. Some even enjoy it. But for depth-oriented minds, the dissonance is loud. Your perception does not stop at words. It reads posture, pacing, hesitation, emotional mismatch. You hear what is not being said. You feel the strain beneath the smiles. Psychologically, this creates friction. You are forced to translate dozens of emotional contradictions at once, and translation requires energy. A study from Cambridge University found that people who prefer solitude often score higher in emotional intelligence, particularly in emotion recognition. This is not social weakness, it is social accuracy. Crowds exhaust you because they are saturated with symbolic noise. You are not rejecting connection, you are resisting distortion. A different reward system is running the show. What excites most people in crowds is stimulation. Novel faces, movement, sound. For many nervous systems, this triggers dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with novelty and reward. The louder and faster the environment, the stronger the chemical reinforcement. But not every brain is wired to chase reward this way. For depth-oriented minds, the primary reward system operates differently. Instead of dopamine, it leans more heavily on acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter linked to focus, learning, and sustained inner attention. This is why silence feels nourishing rather than empty. This is why solitude restores rather than depletes. Your brain does not come alive when the world gets louder. It comes alive when the noise recedes. Neuroscientific studies have shown that individuals who favor introspection tend to engage the prefrontal cortex more strongly, the region associated with complex thought, planning, and meaning-making. When you are quiet, nothing is missing. Your mind is actively integrating experience, connecting ideas, and constructing coherence. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the movement towards psychological wholeness. It cannot happen in constant stimulation. Crowds are not unrewarding because you are disengaged from life. They are unrewarding because your system is oriented toward depth, not spectacle. Emotional absorption and psychological saturation. There is another layer most people never account for. You are not only processing sound, movement, and faces. You are processing emotion itself. Human nervous systems constantly mirror one another through what neuroscientists call mirror neurons. For most people, this resonance is faint. For perceptive minds, it is amplified. When you enter a crowd, you do not simply observe the emotional climate, you absorb it. Anxiety, excitement, impatience, restlessness, boredom, anticipation. These states do not stay neatly contained inside other people. They bleed into the space, and your nervous system registers them as if they were your own. This is why crowded environments feel heavy, even when nothing overtly negative is happening. You are managing dozens of emotional frequencies simultaneously. Psychologically, this creates saturation. Your system is not designed to process that much emotional data without pause. Recovery is not avoidance. It is digestion. Just as the body needs time to metabolize food, the psyche needs time to metabolize emotional input. Judith Orloff writes about this as emotional absorption, not as pathology, but as heightened relational awareness. You are not fragile, you are permeable. And permeability without space leads to overload. Crowds exhaust you because you are feeling more than you can consciously name, and feeling takes energy. Solitude as integration, not escape from the outside. Avoiding crowds looks like withdrawal. From the inside, it feels like alignment. This is where society misreads you. It assumes that silence is empty and solitude is a lack. But psychologically, the opposite is often true. Silence is not the absence of stimulation, it is the absence of interference. Alan Watts often pointed out that when the noise stops, reality does not disappear, it becomes clearer. Without constant social input, the mind is finally able to settle into coherence. Thoughts slow, emotions organize, the nervous system returns to baseline. This is not escape from life. It is re-entry into it without distortion. From a Jungian perspective, solitude is the space where unconscious material can integrate without pressure. Symbols surface, meaning forms. Individuation requires conditions that allow the psyche to speak in its own language, and that language is rarely loud. Crowds demand performance. Solitude allows presence. This is why quiet feels nourishing rather than lonely. You are not avoiding connection. You are choosing the depth at which connection becomes real. Your peace is not isolation, it is regulation. and regulation is freedom. Some minds are not meant to disappear into noise. They are meant to hear what only emerges when the world grows quiet.